Good afternoon. Today on this episode of Joe the RX8, I was planning on getting the engine and transmission mounted, or not mounted, but mocked up. But as a quick first thing to do today, I have a kind of sketchy setup with a motorcycle battery and just some jumper cables bridging them to the fuse box because we've never actually hooked a battery up to the car to see how anything goes. So I got it plugged in without any fanfare. Let's see what we got. Inside, first we're seeing the door lights seem to be coming on, so that's good. Also, we have a door ajar light come on, so that's a really good sign. I kind of didn't have my hopes up too high. As we come into the car here, looks like we have some blue LEDs lighting up the gauges. It beeps. Go into accessory here. And looks like we got everything we could ask for. I don't know if they move, but at least stuff's picking up, so that's somewhere to start. Let's see if we can try the horn. The relay is firing for the horn. Starter relay is firing for the key. Really that's all I can test though, because there's nothing else hooked up. So now that I know that kind of works, can move on to trying to get the engine set up. All right, so there's a couple things I gotta do before we can start putting the motor and trans in the engine bay. First up is I mounted the crash bar, and I have cut lines on the back side, and we're gonna knock out this piece so that the engine can just kind of go straight in, and then we'll just make a radiator carrier that'll bolt in right sandwiched between the frame rails and this crash bar. And then I got to put the oil pan back on correctly because there's no gasket in it currently. So I have RTV to do that, so I'll do that, and we'll start bolting the trans up. All right, now that that's done, my battery is dead, so I'm gonna go charge the battery and get the engine prepped, and I'll check back with you later. All right, so I cut the car, did the things, put the oil pan back on, and then put the transmission onto the engine. As you can see here, I tried to put it in, pulled the sway bar, and it still didn't fit. So now Nick's here. Whoop, will I kick? I don't know. And I think we're gonna pull steering next to try and just clear that. So things escalated kind of quickly. We pulled the steering, and then we pulled oil pan. And the trans brace got pulled. And well, it's gonna go in now, but we did remove the entire subframe in the process. So this will give us some time to re-engineer it so that we don't have to do this every time. And I'll probably just go through and redo bushings and clean everything up while it's out because it's easy to get at. And yeah, so a little bit of a detour on the project, but I think it'll be for the better. All right, it's getting late and we're kind of done for today. We're putting this in. We have a goal at least. Seems like it fits all right. So I'm gonna shoot for this. This is with the transmission kind of up where it should be anyway. So the question will be, will the subframe fit? How much do we have to chop away at that? And will it actually work here? But overall, seems like it should go. All right, we're on to day 2 of engine mounting. Jeremiah's here, and Nick's here, and the engine's here. There's Jeremiah, there's Nick. We're all here. This is our alibi should a crime be committed and we be accused. We've been on the load leveler for 40 minutes now.
Probably. We're trying to get the engine like perfectly level. Like when you look at it this way, this means nothing because it actually has to sit sideways because it's kind of like a BMW motor, but not. Where the tail shaft of the transmission and the engine are different. So you actually have to tilt it down. Like I'm used to Nissans where the engine sits perfectly straight up, or like JZ motors, they sit perfectly straight up and down. So this is like
basically what he's saying is he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just doing his best. It's been an hour and a half and we've given up. This is as close as it's gonna get. It should be close enough. This part is at least sitting kind of correct. So we're just gonna put it in there and see how it fits. After an hour, almost 2 hours probably now, we are back to where we were last night, so that's good. Yeah, welcome back to square one. It's probably a little bit more correct than last night. We actually have some room behind the engine for the firewall. So now we're gonna try and hook up the subframe and see how close we are. So the engine's out again after it fit pretty well. We got it pretty close to where we want it, but now it's out again. And we actually got subframe up with the oil pan off. We need to go back farther, so we pulled the cowl and we're looking at the windshield wiper linkage here. And you see all this dead space here. That is prime opportunity for us to cut this back and try and gain some extra couple inches on fitting the engine in. We're not really chopping firewall, it's just cowl and it's all dead space. So I think that's what we're gonna do next and we'll see how it goes. Prepping to cut this cowl here. We don't really have a specified cutting line defined yet. There's a few marks, but. So we're currently chopping away at some of the cowl. Jeremiah's cutting the rest of the cowl out. I got it started and he had an idea on how to do it. Maintain some of the structure. And now I should shout because it's actually kind of loud. Give a quick update as to where we were last night. I forgot to film kind of where we ended at. So here we go. We have the engine's kind of mocked up. Everything seems to be close to in the right place. But the subframe's definitely still in the way because the oil pan's not even on the engine and we're pretty much sitting on the subframe. So what we're gonna end up doing is probably re-engineering the subframe, adding a tube section rather than the stamped and welded portion that it is today. We did have to cut some of the cowl back because it came very far forward where we cut it. So doing that allowed us to move back another like 2 inches or so. Which is really nice so far. And we made a to-do list board. The garage is kind of a mess right now. So just a couple options. We got some research. We're gonna look into a Miata steering rack. The NC Miata rack. So the, was it 04, 05, 06 to 2014 or something like that. The NC Miata rack is hydraulic and apparently bolts pretty close to right up there, and is a lot lower profile than the beef that is the electronic steering rack. That would move me to hydraulic steering, but that wouldn't be the worst thing because then we could pretty much rip out all of this wiring because we wouldn't need to try and preserve the electronic power steering system. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. I'm gonna start cleaning up these suspension components and pulling them apart, and we'll get those powder coated and redo all the bolts, keep them all nice. And that's it for now. So we'll be heading out to Jeremiah's shop on Thursday, which will be a different video. But for now, that's where we're at with the RX8.